All right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say call Haloyam Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakah Quitash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who have taught me this truth and who rule well in this truth. Shalom to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel that is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Peace and mercy unto you. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you are the true Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of. You are the true chosen people of the book. All right, so I really don't know how I'm gonna start this lesson, but the first thing I want to say is that American food is the most vile, it's the most profane, abominable, disgusting, wretched food you can possibly eat. Okay? And that's why the American people are the most zombified, the most stupid and brain dead and slow, fat and obese people on this planet Earth. I've been going into a book lately, all right, called Seeds of Destruction. And I also, done many lessons on another book called Population Control by Jim Marrs. All right, if you go on my YouTube channel and in the search bar you type in population control, all right, many lessons will come up. All right, and that's a great book to go into. All right, and I suggest you watch those videos because great information comes out on those lessons I did going into that book. All right, because it goes into how the elites, starting with the elites, all right, because the elites have an agenda, all right, to bring forth the new world order. And part of that new world order is to depopulate the masses. All right. When you look at the Georgia Guidestones, okay, one of the orders on the Georgia Guidestones is to maintain the population of this earth to 500 million. All right. and this earth is about to reach 9 billion people. All right. There's over 8.5 billion people on this earth. So just about that many people, 8 billion people, all right, have, their plan is to kill 8 billion people off, man. All right, because their New World Order agenda, all right, depopulation is part of their New World Order agenda. All right, and poisoning the water supply, the food supply, all right, flooding the food supply with GMO crops, GMO seeds, putting out there in the food supply genetically modified organisms, these fruits that have altered genes and spliced DNA. All right, that book Seed of Destruction goes into that, man. All right, and one way the food supply is tainted, all right, is by sugar, man. All right, sugar is a drug. All right, the food is nothing but drugs and chemicals. The food supply is nothing but a biochemical warfare, man. It's nothing but biochemical warfare. The food supply is nothing but biochemical weapon, man. You understand? All right. And everything in the food supply has sugar in it. All right, even the bread is made with sugar. What the hell is sugar doing in bread? It only takes 2-3 ingredients to make bread. You got you got eggs, flour, and the yeast. That's all it takes to make bread. But you got sugar in bread. Seed oils are in bread. When you look at the ingredients, all right, especially Pepperidge Farm products. When you look at their bread, right on the back it says this is made This is made with bioengineered ingredients, man. The seed oils are, that are in the bread. The soybean oil and the palm oil. That's all in bread, man. There's even something known as L-cysteine. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. All right, and us being servants of the Lord, all right, and prophets of the Lord, all right, we carry wisdom, man. We should be wise enough to be eating like men of the Lord. All right, look at Daniel. When you read the book of Daniel, the first chapter, all right, when he was offered the king's food, the king's meat, he said, "Nah, I ain't having that." Instead, he ate pulse for 10 days. All right? And what happened at the end of those 10 days? His countenance, his aura was way more cleaner and fresher than the people that ate the king's meat. All right? Because the scriptures talk about how wise Daniel was. He was a very wise man. When you read the book of Daniel, right? When you read Bel and the dragon, right? When you read the story of Susanna, you read about how wise Daniel is. Right? So Daniel was a wise man, being a servant and a prophet of the Lord. All right? He ate the vegetables, the pulse, instead eating the king's meat, man. So us being men of the Lord, all right, we supposed to carry that wisdom to not be eating this bullshit that's out here. That's not wise at all. That's not wisdom, man. The Lord gave us wisdom, man. So what was I going to search up? Oh, yeah, L-cysteine, all right? Let's get that. Does American bread contain L-cysteine, right? Which L-cysteine is, guess what L-cysteine is? All right? Or where it derives from. Let's get it. All right, it says yes. Many American commercial breads and baked goods can contain L-cysteine as a dough conditioner, all right? Often derived from animal sources like duck feathers or human hair. Come on, man. You see? When you got to read the book Seeds of Destruction that I've been going into, man. Matter of fact, let me go on my YouTube page, right? Let's grab it real quick. Let's grab it. Let's go to my YouTube page real quick. All right. So I've been going into this book called Seeds of Destruction. All right. The last 2 videos I did. All right. In my videos section, it says Seeds of Destruction by William Engdahl. I went into chapter 9, Seeds of Destruction by William Engdahl. These last 2 videos, you got read this book, man. Go into it, man. All right. So, I got chat here, it says, what different diseases is sugar linked to, because you got to be bugged out your damn mind to go, to willingly, go to a store and be like, let me grab some Twinkies. Let me grab some Swiss rolls. All right, some cupcakes and some sugar cookies. You got to be bugged out your mind, man. You know what sugar does to you? How badly it clogs your mind, the type of brain fog. All right, it gives you. It lowers your spirit, man. It lowers your spirit for real. It lowers your vibration and all that, your energy. All right. So it says what different you got to eat. Like, I forgot the brother. I forgot his name. But a while back he did a video. One of the elder brothers from the GMS Mississippi camp. He did a video called Eat Foods of a Higher Vibration. All right, he talks about how he used to be part of the Chicago camp. All right, but now he's in the Mississippi camp. All right. I forgot the brother's name. All right, but he did a video called Eat Foods of a Higher Vibration. Yeah, that's what you got to do, man. Be wise like Daniel and eat the good food, man. The organic food, but even the organic food, you know, is messed up out here. You got to just try your best, man. You know? So it says, what different diseases is sugar linked to? All right, it says high intake of added sugar. All right, especially from sugar. Yeah, you can't be drinking these fake ass sugary drinks, man. That has zero fruit juice in it. Real juice is juice from real fruits, man. You know, the juice that you buy in stores, that's not even juice, man. It's just sugar water with artificial flavor in it. You buy iced tea and stuff like that, and fruit punch and all that bullshit, man. You know, it says what different diseases, because I asked chat, what different diseases is sugar linked to? All right, it says high intake of added sugars. All right, and I'm gonna go into that story with Daniel in a second, man. You know, in a bit, if I remember, you know, to edify, man. You know, because, you know, what do the scriptures say? Everything that we read aforetime was written for our learning, man. Everything that's written in the scriptures is for our learning, man. For us to receive wisdom and knowledge. The wisdom and knowledge of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. You know? It says high intake of added sugar, especially from sugary drinks, sweets, yeah, like candy. All right? You know, sometimes you might eat like a little bit of candy, you know, but to constantly eat candy and bullshit and ultra processed foods, man, every single day, just constantly, just that's all you eat, man, that's not wisdom. All right, the Lord gave us wisdom, man, as prophets and servants, you know. It says high intake of added sugars. All right, and that's what kills people, bro. That's the word. That's what you got to steer away from. Added sugars. The added sugars is what does you in, man. You know, high intake of added sugars. All right, especially from sugary drinks. All right, sweets and ultra processed foods. Yeah, these super duper ultra super califristic expialidocious processed foods, man, like these cereals and, you know, like it says right here, sugary drinks and sweets and, you know, TV dinners and, you know, frozen foods. You know, high intake of added sugars, especially from sugary drinks, sweets, and ultra processed foods, has been linked to a wide range of diseases and health conditions. And, you know, Apostle Gabar always goes into that, man. You know, you come on, man. We're men of the Lord. We're prophets and servants out here, man. We can't be eating this bullshit out here. We have the wisdom to not do such a thing. All right, because, you know, like he said, you know, next thing you eating all this madness, next thing you know, your leg not working, your liver not working, your kidney not working properly. You know, we got to make sure we good out here so we can teach this word. Keep pushing. You know, for our sake and the elect's sake. All right, what do the scriptures say? We not only study for ourselves, but those that seek learning. Right? It says here's a clear evidence-based overview grouped by body system. All right. It says metabolic and cardiovascular diseases. All right. Sugar strongly affects metabolism and insulin regulation. All right. Type 2 diabetes. Excess sugar drives insulin resistance and chronically high blood glucose. All right. Obesity, man. All right. That's why the American people are so obese, man. and lazy. Their mind is so clogged up. They can't think straight. Their brain is all fogged up, right? That's why the people of America have no idea what is going on. They're the greatest sheep. They're the best slaves. All right, the American people are the best slaves that the elites can ask for. You know? They're so, you know, they eat their highly processed sugared candy, their TV dinners, drinking soda while looking at a damn football game. You know? Eating their super highly processed soda while watching a football game. All right? Metabolic syndrome, a cluster of risk factors: high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high blood pressure, abdominal fat, all right? Abdominal fat, all right? Abnormal cholesterol, all right? Heart disease, high blood pressure, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. That's crazy. All right? It says brain and mental health. Yeah. All right? The sugar, the bread you be eating, right? Got sugar in it. Crazy. What the hell is sugar doing in bread? There's no need for sugar to be in bread. All right? So all that sugar you be eating, right? The bread you be eating, because not only the sugar is what's in the bread that's fucking you up, because the carbs that's in the bread also turns into sugar. So you got the carbs and the sugar, just turning into sugar in your body. Bro, you done out here, man. Right? It says brain and mental health. Yeah. All right. Sugar causes what? Depression. All right. That's why, sometimes brothers may be feeling depressed. You got to remember, sometimes you got to look back. Like, what did I just eat, man? Depression, anxiety, cognitive decline, and dementia. Alzheimer's and dementia, man, that sugar causes, bro. That's sugar in the brain. All right, depression. All right, high sugar intake is associated with increased risk and worse outcomes. Anxiety, blood sugar spikes, and crashes can worsen symptoms. All right, cognitive decline and dementia, insulin resistance, and inflammation may contribute. All right, addictive like eating behavior. Sugar activates reward pathways similar to addictive substances. Yeah, and I did a video not too long ago of how, they create these flavors, these artificial flavors in these foods, right? That are so addictive, right? To the point where the flavors taste so good, but they only last a short amount of while in the mouth and the taste buds. And because you weren't able to taste it for such a long time, you go back to bite some more and more and more and more. Because that little taste that it gave you, that taste that was so good in your mouth that only lasted a few seconds, you want more of it, so you keep eating it and eating it and eating it. That's by design, right? So it says oral health, all right? It says tooth decay, all right? Cavity, sugar feeds bacteria that produces enamel damaging acids, gum disease, all right? Cancer. Right, all these things that sugar is linked to, and everything has sugar in it, man. This is all by design. And now you need to be in the hospital continually for the rest of your life. You're in and out the hospital your entire life. That's all by design. Sugar doesn't feed cancer directly, but increases cancer risk. Breast, colorectal, and pancreatic cancer. All right, obesity, chronic inflammation, elevated insulin, and IGF-1 levels. All right, so it says muscular, skeletal, and inflammatory conditions. Chronic inflammation, excess sugar increases inflammatory markers. Yeah, it inflames the body. Joint pain and arthritis symptoms, gout. All right, fructose raises uric acid levels. You see all this that just sugar does it, man. Childhood obesity. Yeah, you got 5-year-old, 6-year-old kids, 7-year-old, 8-year-old kids, just fat as hell, obese as hell. All right, because their brain dead parents just you know, got them drinking soda by the age of 4 and 5. Right? Polycystic ovary syndrome. All right? It says hormonal imbalance. Yeah. All right, you drinking sugar, your estrogen levels are going to raise up. You drinking that soda, right? Insulin affects estrogen, testosterone, and cortisol regulation, right? All these hormonal imbalances, man. Your testosterone levels is low because now you got all this sugar, right, in your body flowing, right? And then I'll slowly scroll down so you can know. Maybe you could screenshot it. Whoever may be watching, you could screenshot it, and study it, man, and look at it, man. All right. And I also asked, I said, what American foods are banned in Europe and other countries around the world? Yeah, because like I said, American food is the most poisonous, the most vile and profane food on this earth, man. All right, that's why American foods are banned in other countries. Okay? It says, and that's why the food that the American people eat, that's why it has them the way they are, man. Super zombified. Staring at a TV screen all day, watching some damn football, man. Watching some fucking niggas run around with a fucking ball, man. Many foods that are legal in the United States are restricted or banned in Europe and other countries, right? Because of stricter rules around the food additives, pesticides. Yeah, pesticides are not allowed in Europe, man. Additives, animal welfare, and long-term health risk. Below is well-known evidence-based overview. All right. It says in most cases it's specific ingredients or production methods that are banned, not the food category itself. Yeah. All right, because they add things to it. Yeah. All right. So it says meat and animal products, hormone treated beef. Yeah, because the animals, they're injected with hormones. They feed the animals GMO feed. Inject the cows with RBST and all that. All right, so hormone treated beef. You niggas out here eating hormone treated beef, man. Beef injected with hormones, man. All right, banned in European Union, UK. All right, it's allowed in the US. Why? Growth hormones, all right, it says are linked to cancer and endocrine disruption. All right, the EU has banned hormone treated beef since the 1980s. All right, chlorine, yeah, because the chicken is either doused in bleach or in chlorine. All right, then you go buy that chicken, right? There's something that's known as air chilled chicken. All right, that's your best bet, right? All right, chlorine washed chicken, yeah, the chicken that you pull off the shelves when you go to ShopRite or Target or Walmart or Stop and Shop, wherever you do your grocery shopping, right? BJ's, Costco's, right? Trader Joe's, right? All that chicken is doused in chlorine, right? It says the EU prioritizes hygiene throughout farming rather than chemical disinfection. Yeah, because they dip the chicken in chlorine they say, oh, it disinfects it. Same thing with the bleach. They put the chicken in bleach too. They bleach the chicken. They bleach the flour, right? They bleach the flour you eat the fried chicken in, right? All right, it says the EU prioritizes hygiene throughout farming rather than chemical disinfection at the end. All right, mask poor sanitation earlier in production. Yeah. All right. Reactopamine treated pork. Well, we don't eat pork anyway. As Israelites, we don't eat pork. We're not supposed to eat pork, man. That's in the law to not eat swine. All right. Grains and baked goods. Yeah. Potassium bromate. All right. Which is, in the baked goods. You see that? Potassium bromate. All right. Is classified as a human carcinogen. All right. Which a carcinogen is something that causes cancer. All right. So it says azo dicarbonamide, all right, ADA, all right, linked to respiratory issues and breakdown in carcinogenic compounds. This is all in the American food, man. This is why we got to be wise, man. Try the best you can to eat the organic, get the organic food. Even though the organic is messed up to a little bit. We got to be out here doing our best, man, as servants of the Lord, prophets. Be wise, man. Not no dumbasses out here. Right? All right? Learn from Daniel. All right? Because when you eat good, you feel good. The food that you eat, all this nonsense that you eat, cookies and Twinkies and Swiss rolls and cupcakes and all these highly sugary processed foods, whatever type of pastries you buy in the store, whether it, like I said, cupcakes, Twinkies, devil dogs, your Debbie rolls and your Edamins treats, and that the food ages you, man. It ages you. You're 50 years old by 35. All right, let's keep going, man. It says linked to respiratory issues and breakdown into carcinogen compounds. All right, packed breads. All right, fast food buns. Yeah, all right. And then it says candy, snacks, and processed the artificial food dyes, man. Commonly banned, restricted. All right, you got the red 40, the yellow 5 and 6, the blue 1. All right. When what certain cereals have? All right, certain cereals have something that's known as trisodium phosphate. You know what trisodium phosphate is? Paint thinner. All right, when you eat what is it called? Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Right? That has trisodium phosphate in it. Right? Let's look up what trisodium phosphate is. Right? Let's Google it real quick. I think it's trisodium phosphate, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, let's get it. Trisodium phosphate. And look what it gives me a picture of. Let's see. Let's go to images of trisodium phosphate. Look. Let's see. Heavy duty cleaner. Right? Let me see if I can grab a picture of it real quick. All right, trisodium phosphate. All right, clean surfaces in preparation for painting. Right, for better durability and adhesive. The original deck and side cleaner. All right, the trisodium phosphate, heavy purpose, all-purpose heavy duty cleaner is in your cereal. Right. This is why Esau Edom has to go, man. This is all happening under his watch, under his rulership. It says harmful if swallowed, right? But that's in your cereal, trisodium phosphate, right? All right. It says common uses. All right, a powerful degreaser. That's what trisodium phosphate is. Let me screenshot all this real quick. Hold up. Let me screenshot this real quick. just trisodium, right? Look, it says it says a food additive. It says a powerful degreaser often used to clean walls before painting is a paint thinner, right? Remove tough stains and as a laundry booster, but it's also a food additive. Regulates at acidity, emulsifies, thickens, and stabilizes. Processed foods like cereals, I told you was in your cereal, all right? Cheese and baked goods, all right? Industrial, used in ceramics as a flux in soldering and in water treatment. You see? All right, it says it's sold as an enema for constipation relief, or in toothpaste to protect enamel. All right, you go up here, it says trisodium phosphate. All right, likely I didn't even type in trisodium. I type unless it like auto corrected, and then all right, it says trisodium phosphate. Likely refers to trisodium phosphate, a versatile compound used in a heavy duty cleaning agent. All right, heavy duty cleaning agents, degreaser, paint prep. It's also food addict. Come on, man. But it's a strong chemical that requires careful handling. But it's in our food, man. This is why we got to be wise like Daniel. All right, let's get that real quick. Let me flip my pages for a second first. All right, this is why we got to be wise like Daniel. All right. Give me a second. Let me flip through my pages before I get it on screen. Right? Alright, so let's get Daniel, real quick. What I do? Alright, Daniel 1. Alright, I'll start at verse, the point really is in, I'll start at verse 8, but I'll read all the way to 21. No, I'll read all the way to like 16, my bad. All right, verse 8, read at 16, all right? So this is Daniel, all right? The young choice men, all right? Daniel 1 and 8. It says Daniel's resolve. It says, but Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat. Yeah, he didn't want to eat the king's food. All right? He said he didn't want to defile himself with that nonsense food, man. You know? The garbage food. All right? But Daniel purposed in his heart, and Daniel was a prophet, a man of the Lord. Right? He had that wisdom to not eat nonsense, right? But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. All right, now the Most High, Yahweh, had brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs. And the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my lord, the king, who has appointed your meat and your drink. For why should he see your faces worse liking than the children which are of your sort? Then shall ye make me endanger my head to the king. Then said Daniel to Melzar, all right, whom the prince of the eunuchs has set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, all right, prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us pulse to eat and water to drink. So instead of eating the king's food, all right, he didn't want to defile himself with the king's food, the king's meat, right? Instead, he said, give me pulse to eat, which pulse is vegetables, all right, and water to drink, all right? That's really all you should be eating is meat, fruits, and veggies, all right? Not no cupcakes, all right, with 1,000 pounds of sugar in it, mixed with seed oils and trisodium phosphate. You niggas eating chemicals, man. Talking about this is good. All right. Daniel said, nah, I want vegetables, man, and water. All right. Daniel 1 and 12. Prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us pulse to eat and water to drink. Then let our countenances be looked upon before the year. So he said, y'all can eat y'all food for 10 days. Y'all can eat the king's meat. All right. But me, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, we gonna eat pulse. We gonna eat the vegetables, and we gonna drink water, and we gonna see who looks better at the end of 10 days. Us or the people that ate the king's meat. Right? He said, prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us pulse to eat and water to drink. Then let our countenances be looked upon before thee, and the countenance of the children that eat the portion of the king's meat. And as thou seest, deal with thy servants. So he consented to them in this matter, and proved them 10 days. And at the end of the 10 days, their countenances appeared fairer and fatter in flesh than all the children which did eat the portion of the king's meat. You see? All right. So they looked fairer, better to look upon, and fatter, more healthier, man. All right. And at the end of 10 days, their countenance appeared fairer and fatter in flesh than all the children which did eat the portion of the king's meat. You see? All right. It says, then Melzar took away the portion of their meat and the wine that they should drink, and gave them pulse. All right. It says, as for these four, the Most High Yahweh gave them knowledge. You see? Because they were men of the Lord. Israelites that were servants and prophets of the Lord, man. The Lord gave them that knowledge, man. All right. As for these four children, all right, which were Israelites, all right, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, all right. It says, as for these four children, the Most High gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. You see, man? So they had that knowledge and wisdom, man. They ate the good food. And that's why they were what? They looked fairer. They were better looking than the other men that ate the king's meat. At the end of those 10 days, they looked healthier, right? Come on, man. You know? All right. And I got this book here as well, right? It's called The Sweet Poison, all right? Which is sugar. All right? Let me get into it real quick. Let me borrow it up real quick, right? Let me exit this real quick. All right, there's a book here called right here, The Sweet Poison, which is sugar. All right, The Sweet Poison. The man goes into it, how to kick the sugar habit and all that. All right, but all we really need is Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right, prayer and fasting, man. That's how we kick the sugar habit, right? You niggas that eat, that got a sweet tooth, that's a sugar demon on you, man. All right, what the Lord said, this come nothing by prayer and fasting, right? All right. So, where was I at real quick? All right, yeah, it says right here. All right, let's zoom in. It says sugar makes you fat. And what do we read in the chat GPT, man? All right, it says sugar. All right, high intakes of added sugar, especially from sugary drinks, sweets, and ultra processed food, has been linked to a wide range of diseases and health conditions. A wide range of diseases and health conditions, and we already went through it. All right, metabolic and cardiovascular disease, brain and mental health, depression, cognitive decline, and dementia. All right, your brain starts to decline, gaining Alzheimer's and dementia. Right, depression, anxiety, right, tooth decay, cancer, obesity, gum disease, chronic inflammation, joint pain, arthritis symptoms, gout. That's all just by sugar. Hormonal imbalances, increased infections risk, weakened immune system, right? Come on, man. All right, so it says sugar makes you fat. All right, it is converted directly to fat by your liver, and it destroys your appetite control so that you want to eat more of it, of everything. All right, the more sugar you eat, all right, the fatter you will be. All right, it is not healthy to be fat. It's not normal to be fat. People are not supposed to be fat, man. You know, when you're fat, you can't move, you're lazy. You know, the more sugar you eat, the fatter you will be. If you stop eating sugar, you will stop gaining weight. Even better, you will start to lose weight dramatically. All right? It says you will still eat as much as you want of anything you want as long as it doesn't contain sugar, and you won't feel deprived in any way. Yeah, because you're eating real food, right? You're eating a good food, right? Which contains actual nutrients, right? In fact, you won't feel like you're dieting at all because you are, yeah. Because you're eating all the good food, man. All right, I lost 40 kg by simply eliminating sugar from my life. 5 years later, the weight is still gone. I didn't do that with a diet, all right? All I did was eliminate the substance that was making me fat and sick, sugar, all right? There's just one little catch, all right? Sugar is an additive, sugar is addictive as nicotine. So breaking its grip requires some techniques. Our technique is fasting and praying. All right. As Israelites and prophets and servants of the Lord in this Israelite ministry of ours, you know, fasting and praying is our technique. Right? Studying, being prudent, right? Studious, right? It says this book sets out 5 different plans for your break, your sugar addiction. Yeah. All right. So, you know, it says let's go to the next page real quick. It says we don't remember our first taste of sugar, and neither do you. Perhaps it was in your first feeder cup or diluted apple juice. Sugar is the only highly addictive drug that we feed to babies. All right. By the time any of us are conscious of sugar, we are already well and truly addicted. Our brains have been hardwired to seek out sugar, all right, and surely as a cocaine addict is wired to seek out stuff to sniff, all right, yeah, because it's a warfare agent. Sugar is a warfare agent, man. All right, the elites have declared war on the masses, man. Through the food industry, man. All right, you know, you could read this book. You know, I'll freeze it real quick. You know, so you could read it for yourself. Back out, man. You can zoom in, screenshot it, right? So I got you right here. Boom. All right. You know. All right. So it says, but research tells us that sugar is highly addictive, not in a smashed out of your brain, high as a kite kind of way, but more in a subtle deceiving, I can give up anytime I want kind of way, a bit like nicotine. All right, you know. But our way of giving it up, you know, is Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, by praying and fasting, man. You know, that you accomplish anything by praying and fasting. You know? So I'll leave it at that. You know, Lord willing. Matter of fact, no. Let me get out a few more scripts real quick. All right. Let's get it. Let's get second Ezra. No, not second Ezra. Ecclesiasticus 30, right? Ecclesiasticus 30 and 15, right? It reads, it says health, and this is the scriptures, this is the Bible. Ecclesiasticus, also known as the book of Sirach, chapter 30, verse 15, it says health and good estate of body are above all gold. Yeah, health is better than wealth. You got people who are rich as hell with the worst diets. People who are rich as hell, hella unhealthy. You know? You want to be able to feel as best as you can possibly feel, man. All right? Health, and this is, you know, the wisdom of Sirach, man. You know? Ecclesiasticus 30 and 15. Health and good estate of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. You see? All right. Matter of fact, let's view the whole chapter real quick. We'll read that all together. All right. Verse 15 again. It says, "Health and good estate of body are above all gold." This is the wisdom of the scriptures, man. Health and good estate of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. There is no riches above a sound body. The word sound means healthy. All right. There is no riches above a sound body, a healthy body, man. All right. It's better to be healthy than to be rich and wealthy, man. What the hell? Nigga, what? That's the greatest thing that's one of the greatest things, man. To be healthy and sound, have a sound mind, a sound spirit, a sound body. Health and good estate of body are above all gold. That's right. And a strong body above infinite wealth. There is no riches above a sound body, and no joy above the joy of the heart. That's right. It says death is better than a bitter life or continual sickness. Yeah, because you got people that are in and out of the hospital their entire lives or sick their whole lives. It's better just to die, man. Because what kind of life is that, man? Your ass should have been more healthier, man. Should have been more wise. Instead of eating madness, right? Now you're in and out the hospital your whole life, right? All type of things are wrong with you, right? Debt, because I got an uncle, man. His whole entire, since I was a little kid, man, been in and out the hospital. Still not dead yet. Sick as hell his whole life. Death is better than a bitter life or continual sickness. Right? It says, let's go down, right? All right, let's go down. Hold on, give me a sec, because I was just looking at the scripts real quick. All right, so let's go down. Verse 25, it says, "A cheerful and good heart will have care for his meat and diet." Yeah, you will have care for your meat and diet. You would be careful of what you eat, man. All right, the word meat just means food. All right, a cheerful and good heart will have care for his what? His meat, his food and diet, man. You're supposed to have care for what you eat. All right, that's wisdom. You know. So I'll leave it at that, man. Lord willing, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Ratazah, this lesson is edifying, all right? Or was edifying, all right? I want to say, call her Yum, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, all right? The water, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, for allowing me to teach and do another lesson, all right? Through your will, through your grace and mercy, you have allowed me to teach once again, all right? So unto the next one, shalom, shalom.